Welcome everyone. My name is Jocelyn Mendez. I am the Senior Marketing Specialist here at SHEIN Marketplace USA, and I'm so excited to welcome you to our very first fireside chat in our new and improved SHEIN studio. We have an incredible lineup of speakers here today from Rithum, Monster Digital, and of course SHEIN. Our topic today is why brands need a Gen Z commerce strategy. And trust me, it's more relevant today now than ever. I'd like to take a moment and let everyone introduce themselves here. I'll begin with Cynthia.
Thank you, JoJo. It is great to be here. My name is Cynthia Lee. I sit on the strategic partnership team here at SHEIN. I'm lucky enough to be a part of our broader SHEIN Marketplace team. We're based in LA headquarters, as JoJo mentioned. And I'm super excited to have one of our Seller of the Year actually with us today. I do want to share a little bit about my role. I have the pleasure to really manage partnerships in between SHEIN and other companies and parties, one being Rithum. We really rely on our partners for not only great events like we just threw a couple weeks ago, SHEIN Elevates, but also really adding their tech and their solutions into our marketplace ecosystem to better support our sellers, most importantly. Sellers like Monster Digital, and I'll let John introduce himself.
Yeah, thank you. I'm John Helverson. I'm the Vice President of Partnerships at Monster Digital. We are one of the largest print-on-demand apparel providers in the country. We work with a wide range of retailers and e-retailers, bringing our products directly to the customers as quickly as we can get them out the door. The great thing with a print-on-demand model is you can be quick and react to trends and really understand what customers are looking for, whether it's a disco ball shirt that they want to wear to the Beyonce concert or a shirt that they are looking for to kind of state their claim as a Swiftie. We have a wide range of designs. I think we have over 25,000 product listings on site. We work with a number of different brands and content creators and artists to really curate a wide range of artwork that's really appealing to the Gen Z customer, and then provide a very easy channel for them to get all of that product loaded into marketplaces, just like the SHEIN Marketplace, where we've seen a lot of really great success.
Great.
Hi, and my name is Tweet Eng with Rithum. I lead global partnerships, helping our brands sell and basically improve their channels across the globe as well, working with great partners like SHEIN.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here today. Really appreciate it. So, let's set the stage by talking about Gen Z. That's our topic today. They're a powerful and unique generation, and they're already reshaping the way that we shop, we interact, and we consume content. So let's kick it off with Cynthia. Why is it critical for brands today to have a Gen Z strategy?
Well, I think we all would like to hear about their massive buying power to start, and really their influence globally. Gen Z, I learned they actually represent the largest generation on the planet. And right behind would be millennials and Gen Alphas, all of which we're very lucky to have as loyalists, we call them, our very focused demographic of shoppers we have at SHEIN. According to Bloomberg, they have over 360 billion in direct buying power, and that's in the US alone. Globally, I think we expect about 3 trillion from them by 2030. They're definitely redefining what commerce is gonna look like and how it happens. And having that Gen Z strategy is really about future-proofing your brand, to get in tune with their habits, what platforms they're on, setting that tone for what's next in culture, commerce, and technology as well.
That's very, very, very true. I'm a proud Gen Z myself, so we grew up with technology, we grew up with cell phones, so I hear you, and those facts are very true. Speaking of staying ahead, let's shift gears into technology. Rithum, what makes you're at the forefront of e-commerce and tech? So Tui, I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, for sure. Like before we dive into like the conversation around tech, I want to share some, reasons why Rithum has a lot to say about this strategy too, and how brands work with us. Just some stats for everyone. We work with over 40,000 brands and retailers globally, 420 plus marketplaces and retail sites globally. We process about 50 billion in GMV annually, and then also about 400 million plus orders annually. And we also update catalog and products 2.4 billion daily for our brand customers as well. But really the top 3 ways in which Rithum continue to evolve our platform and stay ahead in e-commerce and how we help brands build their business too is that we use AI-driven tools to optimize their catalog, product listings, pricing, inventory, and even advertising performance across a variety of marketplaces and platforms that they sell on globally. Also, we have a unified commerce platform that integrates marketplace, dropship, their fulfillment endpoints, and also it helps streamline the platform for greater efficiency in their business. And really, what they use us for really is real-time data and insight, where they can see what's doing well for them on a certain channel, why it's doing well, how can they optimize these channels, because they're very different if you look at the different channels that some of these brands may sell on.
Definitely, that's super insightful. Now that we've talked about the why and the tech backbone, let's talk about how Gen Z's shopping behaviors, differ from millennial and Gen X.
Yeah. I mean, it's really fundamentally Gen Z, they're digital natives, like you know very well, Jojo. So they like shopping through discovery on platforms like TikTok, YouTube, and trend-forward platforms like SHEIN. They didn't adapt to technology like millennials did, and that would be me. So they were really the generation that was raised on it, which means mobile, social, and speed are non-negotiable.
Very, very true. John, you've spent over 20 years in retail, from big box to e-commerce, and now leading Monster Digital. With what broad perspective does selling to a Gen Z audience today compared to what you've seen in the past?
Yeah, I think kind of like Cynthia was mentioning, the speed of which they're embracing trend, and it's much more driven by the vibes of what's going on than a specific brand. And being able to try to create a merchandise strategy and a content strategy that taps into that is a very different approach than creating a merchandise table assortment for a traditional retailer. So we're able to really leverage a lot of that speed, that unique quirkiness, that way to kind of tap into whatever the customer is finding authentic or engaging on social media, and bring that to life very, very quickly on a platform like this, where we know they're shopping very much of the moment, reacting to what's happening in the world, what's happening on social media. Our goal is to have our assortment be a direct reflection of what they're scrolling through on their For You pages. And that's really hard to do in a traditional retail environment with the lead times that are typically involved with apparel and production. So the combination of Gen Z shopping habits, the ability of a marketplace like SHEIN to really bring everybody together, and then our ability to bring the content from all these various places together has been really, really valuable. On top of that, we get such great feedback from the customers as well that we know right away if they like it or not. And that's been really invaluable for us as we've been building our business.
Definitely.
Yeah, and then just some feedback to add to that from John's take is that, takeaway for brands really is in how different Gen Z shop compared to other generations. They may be digital first, but it's not digital only. They start the shopping experience online, but then they value offline brand experience. You see all these brands, market and, participate in events like Coachella, like festivals, sporting events, things like this. Like that's how you basically connect with this generation. And if you look at authenticity, I can't, like stress enough like how important that is for this generation. It's like, how authentic are you? Do you really speak to them at all? And really, like they have very value-driven kind of consumption. If you look at the brands they buy, is there sustainability, is there diversity, and ethics involved in this stuff? Like those are big like points that they utilize when they think about which brands they attach to.
Definitely, messaging and brand authenticity is what resonates with Gen Z. It's how we choose the brands that we want to continue to shop with. With that being said, Cynthia, from your lens, what makes SHEIN such a powerful tool for reaching these demographics?
Yeah, I think SHEIN, we're really building our platform to support our very focused shoppers. So I do want to share a little bit about that. We have over 150 million active shoppers with us. SHEIN's app, our mobile app, was actually ranked #1 most downloaded globally in 2023. Super proud of that. But fast forward to today, not much has changed. We were actually named the #1 most visited fashion website in the world, according to SEMrush. That was as of January this year. But the vast majority of our traffic is still coming from mobile. So naturally, the user experiences that we engineer is strictly for Gen Z consumption habits. Things like pop-up engagements, very curated, unique campaigns, and we actually host live streams within our app 4 times a week, actually right here in our SHEIN studio. And I'm super excited to say that would be opportunities that our sellers would be able to participate in.
Very cool. I know. Take a look at this awesome studios here that we're here today. It's newly renovated, awesome new space. John, you've gone to launch to traction. What kind of tips would you provide to new sellers that want to focus on the first 90 days?
Yeah, I think when we first launched with the marketplace, it was toward the end of summer, early fall, and we really tried to think about what is going to be most relevant from a product assortment. So obviously our business with graphic t-shirts can be very quick and changes with the season, but regardless of what the product is, take advantage of the fact that the platform has such great speed in terms of when you can list product to when it's live, to when you start getting feedback from your customers, and immediately start adjusting your strategy and your plans based on what you're seeing back from the customer. Whether it's sales or lack of sales, whether it's good reviews or bad reviews, it's all great information, and data only makes everybody's business better. So that would really be probably the #1 thing I'd say in the first 90 days is absorb as much of that data as you can and adjust and adapt your strategy appropriately. Kind of going back to the live stream comment too, we've been able to participate in a couple of live streams with some of our product too, and that was a really fun way for us to kind of bring things to life in a new way and provide the team here with some great product to style with different outfits and everything. It was just really fun to see all of that come to life, and just an example of some of the ways that the team here at SHEIN has been really able to help us grow our business.
No, yeah, that's awesome. Our sellers have the opportunity to utilize, these other avenues that we have available for them. So let's take a moment and share about, how has year 2 been for you here on the SHEIN Marketplace? What are you doing now that you've done differently than you've done before?
So as the business evolves and grows and you get more data and you learn more, the biggest change has been our ability to work with our partners, with our brands, our content creators, our licenses, to actually be more prescribed about what customers are looking for and what they're asking for and the feedback that we've been getting. So it's really been a shift into driving optimum productivity out of the content that we're listing. So it's really we've kind of created this great circle of we launch content, we learn what the customers like, and we can go back to our partners and say, hey, they loved XYZ, let's develop more of that, or let's pull back here. She's over it. She doesn't want it anymore. She's moved on. A new meme has popped up and it got her attention. So for us, it's really been just getting that flow of the real-time information back to our partners to really create all of this great artwork, and then going from there to keep driving sales.
No, absolutely. In this day and age, more data is better than no data. So that was super insightful. Now, let's get a little bit more specific. Certain categories tend to resonate with Gen Z, but what should brands in those categories actually be doing to stand out? Cynthia, I'll hand it off to you.
Well, to stand out, first I do want to call out some of the best performing categories that are with SHEIN today. Fashion, I think there's no surprise there, but that would also embody accessories and shoes. Beauty and health is one that we continue to rapidly grow in week over week. And lastly, it's actually home and living. So a lot of electronics, refurbished electronics. Our shopper, we've identified her and we know what her shopping habits are. And I say her because they are majority female. Also, no big surprise there. But she's really looking at SHEIN as her platform to purchase products that will make her look good, feel good through our selection of probiotics and such. Lastly, she wants to live well, so she's looking to decorate her dorm room, potentially her first apartment, to her unique style. So we're really leaning into our third-party brand partners and sellers to really contributing to our assortment to better fit her styles.
That's very true. I just moved into my first apartment in February, and the first thing I did was go on the SHEIN app and start liking all of the things that I potentially wanted for there. So that's super helpful, especially for more traditional brands out there. So let's dig a little deeper into how can legacy brands modernize their approach and actually meet Gen Z where they are. Tui, I'll hand it off to you.
Yeah, really, I think the main takeaway here is, stay authentic. Like, how do you work with creators, partnerships, and things like that to basically tell a story about your brand? Like, how does this speak to them rather than, looking at traditional advertising? Because I feel like Gen Z, really takes a look at how this storytelling aspect. If you look at really strong brands, really good brands, they have a way to do this. And it speaks to that base. But I think that's really the key takeaway when I talk to brands is they're always asking how do we storytell in this way that keeps us authentic to this customer base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say kind of on the seller side of that, how we've embraced it has been knowing that the customer is there and we don't have to lure them into the store to even get their attention to begin with. We immediately just need to start the conversation of what do they want to see? How do they want to see the product? What is catching their eye? What are they into? So that's been a really good way for us to approach it that way, knowing that they're in the room. Like, we don't have to get them there. So now we start actually talking to them and giving them options and product, and we go from there.
Yeah, I would suggest leverage platform native strategies, and at least on SHEIN, I can say a secret sauce of ours is actually our algorithm. Our shoppers are getting a lot of economical basics that we produce, but through our deeper dive into data insights unique to us, we've definitely uncovered their appetite for other logos, statement pieces, etc., that we simply don't produce. So really leveraging the platform native strategies, participate in our unique campaigns. And I don't know if you know, but if you're a seller today on SHEIN, I'm sure you know, John, but a seller or brand store on SHEIN, if you have followers on your store, they actually receive 2 push notifications a day from the mobile app. So again, leverage that. Again, there are different shopper from millennials and Gen X, who tend to be more focused before on loyalty and legacy, things like that. So it's really for brands and sellers to understand that it's shifting from maybe a product first strategy to a culture first strategy.
You know, that's very true about the push notifications, because sometimes, you know, there's that saying, out of sight, out of mind. But when you get that push notification from your SHEIN app and you're like, oh, you know, maybe I do need that after all, that could be very helpful. Amazing. And for those brands that are now thinking, okay, we're ready, what's next? This one's for you. So what's the best way for a brand that's new to the SHEIN Marketplace to get started?
Well, first, I would say leverage our experts. Use the people who know it best. And we're here. Our U.S. Marketplace team is ready to provide these sellers and brands with a comprehensive launch plan that's, you know, more customized appropriately, and really share all of these best practices throughout your selling journey with us to ensure you're constantly staying ahead of the curve at SHEIN. And obviously, to make it a seamless onboarding process, I would strongly recommend looking into solution partners like Rithum, who offer an integrated marketplace solution. It's a plug-play type of way to get in front of millions of shoppers on SHEIN, ready to discover what's next.
Awesome. Very cool. And you know, what's the best way for brands that are new to the SHEIN Marketplace to get started?
So I think from my standpoint as a seller, when thinking about the onboarding journey at SHEIN, I think to Cynthia's point, leveraging the help and the knowledge of the experts at SHEIN was very, very critical in our initial launch. The support was very thorough. And for a seller, when you're going into a new platform, obviously there's always the unknowns of what do I do here? How do I navigate this? There's a ton of support available from the SHEIN team to help you get started.
Definitely. And you know, Tui, how can Rithum support sellers that are eager to join a new marketplace?
Yeah, so the way our platform is set up, you know, really we streamline that expansion process for them with tools and services available within the platform. So if you're selling on one channel, we can help you kind of speed up that process as you expand to other channels. You know, we have, you know, over 100-something marketplace channels, over 300-something geographies that you can basically launch at. So this marketplace integration at scale is like a big selling point for us, but also like you can centralize your product and order management process within our platform. And then you can also look at retail media and ad spend and also fulfillment within the platform. So you have one hub to manage your entire business. And also there's so much data flowing through the platform that you can use this data to make informed decisions on where to grow your business, how to grow your business, how can you improve certain areas that you may be lacking into as well. So those are kind of like the big selling points when you work with like a partner like us.
Very cool. It's like a one-stop shop to support, you know, from small business to big business. With that being said, guys, you know, I'd love to take a moment to allow you guys to give us a main takeaway from each of your brands. Cynthia, or Tui, I'm sorry, I'll start with you.
Yeah, really, I think what we talked today was great, and you know, I think everyone kind of gets this, like, you really know the customer, like, you know, and we can help when they work with us, when they work as partners, such as SHEIN, you know, you can really understand the customer and really how to stay authentic to that and how you speak to that audience as well too. And also with us, you know, how do you use tools to drive like data-backed decisions and how to grow your business? And it's not just like a shotgun approach. I think those days are kind of over, but really like segment, you know, how do you segment customers? How do you speak to each specific segment and niche within the larger customer base? So I would say it would be important.
Very cool. John.
Yeah, you know, I think just going directly from that, like knowing the customer and staying authentic, you as a seller, you know your brand, you know what your product is. So you're the expert in your brand and your product. You've got all of this great data about what the customer is. So then what do you do with that? It's how quickly you can react, how adaptable you can be, how flexible you can be with the feedback you get. And from that, you have all of the tools you would need to drive a business. You have all the data that you could ask for. You know your brand and your product. And it's really up to you to then leverage the tools that are available for you on the marketplace to really drive that business.
I think mine is going to be simple. If you're a brand or seller and we got you thinking on your Gen Z strategy, now is really the time, I would say, to just align with the shopping platform that resonates best with them and is already built for them. We, again, through our user experience, we're really relying on our secret sauce of algorithm to surface the right products and the right price points, right trends and designs to that exact shopper. With that said, I do want to do a quick flash of a QR. I am sure there's going to be additional questions that I didn't cover that's to do with SHEIN. I'm going to give the audience here a few seconds just to bring out your phones and give that QR code a scan. My email and our partnerships at sheingroup.com email is up there. Would love nothing more to hear from you, and definitely can connect you to our partners at Rithum for further conversation as well.
Awesome, and I'll take a moment to let the audience know you can drop in some questions to our Q&A section. We do have a couple already up on the screen, so let's take a moment and answer these questions live for you guys. So there's a lot of talk in the industry around AI, automation, optimization, but how can brands apply those technology practically? Tui, I'll hand it to you.
Yeah, I think really it's like taking a look at the tools available to you within a platform or your partnership, but then also working with partners like SHEIN and taking a look at how do you optimize that data set? How do you look at what can the partners share with you? Like what's doing well, what's not, where do they see gaps? And it's basically retail 101 really, and really leaning into those partnerships to grow the business, because even in this day and age, like everyone still needs to grow, still wants to grow. And this, I feel, is a good way to kind of take a look at that approach.
Definitely. We'll head off to question number 2. Hi, John. This one's for you. We hesitate to launch on a marketplace because we don't want to lose control of our brand and operation. What advice can you offer?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question, especially given the unique state of the world right now, with a lot of the changing noise about tariffs and some of the uncertainty that brings. I'd say the one piece that is interesting is on a marketplace where you're controlling your product listings and you're setting your retails and you're able to kind of dive into your own promotional strategy. There's a little more control over what's actually happening with your brand versus other websites where you may not actually be able to dictate a retail selling price, or if something's going on a promotion, or how you're speaking to customers. So, it's an interesting question, but I would say the ability to control your brand and your business is definitely not lacking on the marketplace. It's been really helpful for us to be flexible and adjust our strategies based on all of the factors that we're all dealing with in the world.
No, definitely, and especially in this day and age, it's important that we're staying up to date and staying relevant. We have another question on the screen. What is a small business under or over $5 million yearly in revenue? I'd like to open it up to the team.
I am actually not sure. Tui, would you know what the proper brackets look like, or?
Well, I really think it depends on the industry, right? Industry and the scale.
Yeah.
I mean, we have customers in certain industry where a small business is considered 100 million. So I think it really depends on the context of that question. But I feel like as a small business, regardless of industry. Your advantage really is be able to move much quicker. There's less friction, there's less, decision making. Like I feel that always helps when we look at scale like that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it doesn't matter, big or small. It depends on the industry. It depends on, your demographic. So with that being said, there's another question on the screen. We're a legacy brand that's used to more traditional retail channels. What's the first thing we should rethink if we want to appeal to Gen Z audience without losing who we are?
From me, I think be open to newness, new strategies, and really open up that gateway to really allow your brands and your products to reach that largest population that is existing today and certainly will be driving digital growth for the years to come. What would you say, John?
Yeah, I think if you're a legacy brand and trying to open the door to a new customer segment that might not be your traditional customer, I think what we were talking about earlier, where a Gen Z customer doesn't necessarily immediately look at what brand it is. Mm-hmm. If it feels right for them, if it's authentic for them and it kind of fits the moment, they're going to be open to it. And it's really just identifying like, hey, do I have something that I feel can tap into that? And then figuring out how to bring that to them and put it in front of them in a way that connects. So I think if you're a legacy brand and you're opening that door, it's just finding a way to do so in a way that could connect with them, but not limiting yourself because of a preconceived notion of what you think your brand may have been in the past.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for all those additional questions today. And, I want to thank you all for joining us today. If there's one thing I hope to leave you with, is that Gen Z is already reshaping the future of commerce. That's no surprise. The question is whether your brand is ready to grow with them. Here at SHEIN Marketplace, we are creating a space that is, authentic, constantly thriving, doing it alongside powerful solution providers like Rithum, who make the expansion and optimization easier more than ever. And of course, a huge thank you to John from Monster Digital for being such a powerful example of seller success on our platform. And congratulations again on being named Seller of the Year at our SHEIN Elevate Los Angeles event that took place last month. And to learn more and get started, we have our wonderful Cynthia here from our partnership side who can get you started. So thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you next time on our next Fireside Chat.